Every single Elder Scrolls hero is a prisoner. Not most of them. Not a fun coincidence. Every single one. From 1994 to today, the universe literally refuses to save itself through anyone who isn't behind bars first. So today, I'm breaking down every prisoner protagonist in Elder Scrolls history and exactly how they went from locked up to legendary, starting with the one who wrote the rulebook, the Eternal Champion. Here's the thing about the Eternal Champion. They don't just happen to be the first prisoner in Elder Scrolls history. They're the reason every game after this one starts you in chains. Arena came out in 1994, and Bethesda has never once looked at this formula and thought, maybe we should try something different. 30 years. Zero deviation? And honestly, once you see how it played out the first time, you'll understand why. In the year 3E389, the Imperial battle mage Jagar Tharn pulled off one of the most audacious power grabs in Tamriel's history. He used an artifact called the Staff of Chaos to banish Emperor Uriel Septim VII into another dimension entirely, then just sat down on the throne and pretended to be him. For a decade, this period became known as the Imperial Simulacrum, which is a fancy way of saying nobody noticed the Emperor was a completely different person for 10 years. Cool, that's reassuring. Meanwhile, our hero is sitting in a cell somewhere, and here's where it gets interesting. The Eternal Champion's crime, it changes, literally. During character creation, the backstory shifts, depending on what you pick. The game doesn't care why you're locked up. The universe doesn't care why you're locked up. What matters is that you are locked up, because apparently that's the cosmic prerequisite for saving the world. The champion is mysteriously freed and given one job: reassemble the Staff of Chaos, which Tharn had broken into 8 pieces and scattered across the entire continent. 8 dungeons, 8 fragments, each one more dangerous than the last, with the final piece buried in the bowels of Dagoth-Ur itself. But the real moment comes at the end. Deep in the Imperial Palace dungeon, the Eternal Champion grabbed the Jewel of Fire, an artifact containing Tharn's power and the entire energy of the staff. Tharn was killed. The Emperor was pulled out of his dimensional prison, and our nameless prisoner earned the title Eternal Champion for literally saving the Empire from a decade-long lie. This is the template: mysterious imprisonment, divine liberation, world-saving quest. Every mainline Elder Scrolls game that followed would copy this exact structure. The specific crime never matters. The imprisonment always does. It's not a backstory detail, it's a cosmic law. But if the Eternal Champion set the template, the next prisoner broke reality itself, the hero of Daggerfall. So, the Eternal Champion saved the Emperor? Cool. The next prisoner broke time itself. And no, that's not hyperbole. The hero of Daggerfall, officially known as the Agent, was locked up during the Imperial Simulacrum, that whole period where Jagar Tharn was pretending to be the Emperor. The specific crime that landed them in prison actually changes depending on your character creation choices, which is a very Bethesda way of saying it doesn't matter why you're here, you just are. After the Eternal Champion dealt with Tharn and Uriel Septim VII got his throne back, a whole wave of prisoners across the Empire were released. But the Emperor didn't just let the Agent walk free and wish them luck. He personally selected them for a mission. 2 missions, actually. The primary job was investigating the death of King Lysandus of Daggerfall. Lysandus was reportedly haunting his own capital city as an undead spirit, which is, you know, not ideal for tourism. The secondary mission was a bit more delicate: locate and destroy a misplaced Imperial letter before it fell into the wrong hands. Standard cleanup work. Nothing world-ending, except the hero's investigation led them straight to the Totem of Tiber Septim, the only artifact in existence capable of controlling the Numidium. For those unfamiliar, the Numidium is a giant brass god, powered by an enormous soul gem called the Mantella. It's exactly as dangerous as it sounds. The totem essentially handed the Agent a cosmic remote control for a reality-destroying weapon, and the game let you choose who to give it to. Here's where it gets absolutely insane. The hero's choice regarding the totem triggered something called the Warp in the West, a dragon break so catastrophic that the Elder Scrolls themselves, the literal omniscient scrolls that record all of history, couldn't document what happened. Over 44 petty kingdoms were reshaped into 4 major kingdoms. And here's the kicker: it happened across multiple simultaneous timelines. Every possible ending occurred at the same time. Bethesda essentially looked at the fact that Daggerfall had multiple endings and said, they're all canon. Every player's choice happened simultaneously. The lore justification is that reality itself fractured and then stitched back together with all outcomes baked in. The first prisoner saved an emperor. The second prisoner shattered causality so hard that the universe had to rewrite itself just to keep functioning. But if you think breaking time is the peak of what a prisoner can accomplish, accomplish, wait until you meet the one who was literally prophesied into existence, the Nerevarine. This is where everything changes. Arena and Daggerfall had their prisoners, sure, but the reasons for their imprisonment were vague at best, convenient starting points. Morrowind looked at that tradition and said the quiet part loud. You're not just a prisoner who happens to save the world. You're a prisoner because the universe literally requires you to be one. The Nerevarine prophecy is one of the most specific and deliberately worded prophecies in all of Elder Scrolls lore. It states that a prisoner born on a certain day to uncertain parents would be sent, under guard, to Morrowind, overcome numerous trials, unite the province, and cast down the tribunal as false gods. Read that again. The prophecy doesn't say a hero, doesn't say a warrior, a mage, or a chosen one. It says a prisoner. Imprisonment isn't a setback the Nerevarine overcomes. It's the qualifying criterion. It's the cosmic checkbox that has to be ticked before anything else can happen. And the reason this prophecy exists in the first place is genuinely tragic. The tribunal, Vivec, Almalexia, and Sothasil murdered their leader Indoril Nerevar and used the heart of Lorkhan to achieve godhood. They betrayed Nerevar, they betrayed their people, and most importantly, they betrayed the Daedric prince Azura, which is, not ideal. Azura swore she would use her power over dawn and dusk to bring Nerevar back and make things right. The tribunal dismissed her entirely. They claimed to be more powerful than any Daedric prince. Bold strategy. So in 3E427, a prisoner arrives in Morrowind on a boat, transported under guard, and that status as a captive is itself the mechanism through which prophecy identifies them, not their skills, not their bloodline, their chains. The Nerevarine then proceeds to do exactly what the prophecy demanded. They overcome the trials, unite the province, and confront the false gods who had held power over Morrowind for thousands of years. 3 beings with actual godhood, cast down by someone who showed up in shackles on a prison ship. But here's the kicker that nobody talks about enough. The Nerevarine achieved a form of immortality through their cosmic significance. After the events of Morrowind, lore tells us they departed on an expedition to Akavir, the mysterious continent to the east, and they potentially remain alive centuries later, well into the era of the last Dragonborn. That means the prisoner from the boat in Morrowind might still be out there somewhere, functionally immortal, having outlived the very gods they were prophesied to destroy. This is the game that turned imprisonment from a gameplay convenience into theology. The universe doesn't just happen to pick prisoners, it demands them. And if you think that Revelation is wild, wait until you see what happens when the next prisoner wakes up in a cell they were never supposed to be in. The hero of Kvatch. The hero of Kvatch is the prisoner who became a god. And no, that's not hyperbole. That's literally what happened. At the start of Oblivion, you wake up in the Imperial prison with zero explanation. No trial, no charges, no record of what you did. The guards mention you were placed in a cell that was supposed to be off limits, and they wave it away as a mix-up that happens often, which is, not ideal as far as prison administration goes, but also maybe the thinnest cover story the universe has ever produced for divine intervention. Because here's the thing, that cell wasn't random. Emperor Uriel Septim VII, fleeing through secret passages beneath the prison with the blades at his side, walks directly into your cell and tells you he's seen you in his dreams. Just like that. No build-up, no dramatic music sting, just an old man in robes staring at you through iron bars saying he's been dreaming about your face. It's one of the greatest cold opens in gaming history, and it still holds up because of how absurd and confident it is. The Septim bloodline carried prophetic visions, and those visions identified this specific prisoner in this specific cell as cosmically significant. The routine mix-up wasn't a mix-up. The universe put you there. What follows is a complete inversion of the power dynamic. The prisoner doesn't escape. The prisoner becomes the Emperor's protector. You escort the most powerful man in Tamriel through underground passages while assassins from the mythic Dawn cult close in from every direction. The Sovereign needs the prisoner, not the other way around. And then Uriel Septim dies. His sons are already dead. The Dragonfires go out. Mehrunes Dagon launches the Oblivion Crisis. And suddenly, every city in Cyrodiil has a portal to literal hell opening above it. The hero of Kvatch becomes the one person holding everything together, tracking down Martin Septim, the Emperor's illegitimate son and the last surviving heir of the bloodline. Martin, a humble priest who had no idea he was royalty, bound his blood with the Amulet of Kings and transformed into an avatar of Akatosh to fight Mehrunes Dagon directly in the streets of the Imperial City. It cost Martin his life, but it saved the world. And the hero of Kvatch? They kept going. Through the Shivering Isles expansion, the hero completed the trials of Shea Sheogorath, the Daedric Prince of Madness, and eventually mantled him, meaning they didn't just defeat a god or serve a god, they became one. A random prisoner with no name, no crime on record, and a cell assignment that was supposedly a clerical error ascended to literal godhood. When you meet Sheogorath in Skyrim, that's the hero of Kvatch talking to you, a Daedric prince who started the week in a dungeon, from unnamed inmate to divine entity. That's not a character arc, that's a vertical line. But if the hero of Kvatch's imprisonment was suspicious, The Last Dragonborn's is downright hostile, because that prisoner wasn't just locked up, they were about to lose their head, the last Dragonborn. This is the one everybody knows. Even if you've never touched an Elder Scrolls game, you've probably seen the memes. The cart ride, the headsman, the dragon. Skyrim's opening is arguably the most widely experienced prisoner sequence in gaming history. It's also the most absurd cosmic coincidence in the entire series. Here's what happens. The last Dragonborn is captured in an Imperial ambush at Darkwater Crossing. They weren't necessarily doing anything wrong, they were trying to cross the border, got swept up alongside Ulfric Stormcloak and his soldiers, and ended up on a cart bound for Helgen. No trial, no sentencing, just a one-way trip to the chopping block. The Empire figured, hey, we've already got the axe out, might as well add one more to the list, which is, not ideal. But here's where it gets genuinely ridiculous. The Dragonborn is kneeling at the block, the headsman raises his axe, and at that exact moment, the literal World Eater descends from the sky and obliterates the entire fortress. Alduin, the dragon prophesied to devour all of existence, shows up at the precise second the axe would have fallen. Not 5 minutes earlier, not during the cart ride. At the exact moment of execution, the universe bent an entire dragon apocalypse around saving one prisoner. Let that sink in. The community has debated this timing for over a decade. One theory suggests Alduin sensed the Dragonborn's dragon soul and arrived believing he'd detected a rival. He wasn't saving anyone. He was investigating and accidentally prevented the death of the one mortal destined to destroy him. The other major theory is Wilder. Some players believe the Elder Scrolls, the cosmic documents that dictate fate, literally could not allow the Dragonborn to die before fulfilling their purpose. So, reality adjusted. A world-ending dragon conveniently appeared at the exact coordinates prophecy required, and the prophecy backing this up is genuinely elegant. When Akatosh gave mortals the gift of time, he designated Alduin as the World Eater, the force that would devour everything when the cycle ended, but he also built in a failsafe. He allowed mortals to inherit dragon souls, ensuring that when Alduin inevitably rose to destroy Nirn prematurely, a mortal champion would exist to oppose him. The Destroyer and the Savior, created by the same god, bound by the same power. The Dragonborn went on to master the Thu'um, the voice that had been the exclusive domain of dragons for millennia. They fought Alduin at the throat of the world, pursued him into Sovngarde itself, the Nordic afterlife, and killed him there. A prisoner who was minutes from losing their head ended up saving every soul in existence from premature annihilation. The Darkwater Crossing ambush didn't just capture a random traveler, it positioned the one person capable of stopping the apocalypse at the one location where the apocalypse would begin. The ambush, the transport route, the execution timing, all of it converged to place them exactly where they needed to be when Alduin returned. Coincidence doesn't cover it. This was fate working overtime. But if the Dragonborn's imprisonment was cosmically convenient, the next prisoner on our list didn't even get to keep their soul. The Vestige. Every other prisoner on this list got thrown in a cell. The Vestige got thrown out of existence. Here's what happened. The Worm Cult, because of course it's a cult, sacrificed the Vestige to the Daedric prince Molag Bal. Not imprisoned them, not captured them, sacrificed them. Their soul was ripped out, their mortal body was destroyed, most likely reanimated as some undead minion shambling around a dungeon somewhere, and whatever was left of their consciousness woke up in Cold Harbor, Molag Bal's personal realm of oblivion, a dimension designed from the ground up for eternal suffering. But here's where it gets genuinely horrifying. The Vestige didn't just wake up as a ghost or a spirit. Molag Bal reconstructed them using something called Azure Plasm, a pure Daedric substance. He built them a brand new body, not out of kindness, obviously. He made them immortal specifically so they could be tortured forever without the inconvenience of permanent death. If they die, the Azure Plasm just reforms. new body, same consciousness, same suffering. It's like respawning in a video game, except the video game hates you personally and was designed by the god of domination. And the Vestige isn't alone in this. Coldharbour is full of soul shriven, all created the same way. They age, they shrivel, they slowly lose their minds, they die, and then they regenerate to do the whole thing over again, forever. That's not a prison sentence. That's imprisonment within a form of existence itself. You're not locked in a room. You're locked in a cycle. Your body is fake. Your soul is gone. And the dimension you're standing in was built to make sure you never, ever stop hurting, which is, not ideal. But here's the thing that makes the Vestige different from every other soul-shriven shambling through Coldharbour. They kept their mind. Every other soul-shriven eventually descends into total mindlessness, becoming little more than a husk going through the motions of suffering on autopilot. The Vestige is a 1 in a billion anomaly, a soul-shriven who somehow maintains sanity, agency, and identity despite being manufactured entirely from Daedric's substance in a prison realm designed to break them. Nobody knows why. Nobody can explain it. I don't know what to tell you. And naturally, there's a prophecy about exactly this. An ancient prophecy foretold that a soul-shriven who retained their sanity would become Tamriel's only hope against the plane meld, Molag Bal's plan to literally merge Nirn with Oblivion, drag the entire mortal world into his realm, make everyone a soul-shriven. The Vestige has to reunite the 5 companions, reclaim the Amulet of Kings, and then march into Coldharbour to fight a Daedric prince on his home turf, in a body that Prince built for them, with a soul that Prince stole from them. This is the prisoner concept pushed to its absolute logical extreme. The Eternal Champion was locked in a dungeon. The Dragonborn was on a chopping block. The Vestige was locked in a state of being. Their prison isn't a room or a realm. It's what they are. Every atom of their body is Daedric. Every breath they take happens in a dimension of torment. And the only way out is to fight the god who made them through a war that spans reality itself. But if the Vestige's prison was their very existence, the next prisoner managed to get locked away from something even harder to escape: history itself, the Forgotten Hero. Here's an entry that most of you have probably never even thought about. The Forgotten Hero from the Elder Scrolls. Legends is the dark horse of the entire prisoner lineup, and honestly, they might be the most interesting one on this list for one very specific reason, but we'll get there. First, let's talk about their crime. The Forgotten Hero goes by several titles, including the Savior of Cyrodiil, which is appropriately dramatic, and the Smuggler, which is not. The Smuggler, that's it. While every other protagonist on this list was imprisoned by gods, trapped by prophecy, or sacrificed to Daedric princes, this person apparently got caught moving illegal goods across a border somewhere. Hey, what are you in for? Contraband. That's the most grounded, mundane crime any Elder Scrolls protagonist has ever committed. Everyone else is out here being cosmically selected by the universe, and the Forgotten Hero just had a really bad day at a checkpoint. But here's where it gets interesting. The Forgotten Hero operated during the Great War, the massive conflict between the Empire and the Third Aldmeri Dominion that nearly wiped Cyrodiil off the map. This wasn't some localized Oblivion Gate or regional vampire problem. This was a full-scale existential war threatening the survival of the entire Imperial Order across Tamriel, and this former smuggler stepped directly into the middle of it, earning the title Savior of Cyrodiil for actions that helped keep the Empire from collapsing entirely. Now here's the part that makes the Forgotten Hero genuinely unique among every prisoner we've covered. Every single protagonist before them fulfilled a prophecy. The Nerevarine fulfilled the Nerevarine prophecy. The Dragonborn fulfilled the prophecy of the Dragonborn. The Vestige fulfilled the prophecy of the sane soul shriven. It's the standard formula. You're a prisoner, you're chosen, you complete the destiny laid out for you. The Forgotten Hero did the exact opposite. Lord Nerafin had a prophecy, a real, functioning, cosmically significant prophecy that was supposed to come true, and the Forgotten Hero broke it. They didn't fulfill destiny, they shattered someone else's. Where the Nerevarine completed prophecy to the letter, the Forgotten Hero's entire cosmic purpose was to ensure a prophecy never came to pass. They are the anti-Nerevarine, the prisoner who looked at fate and said no. That's a complete inversion of everything the prisoner archetype is supposed to do in this universe. Every other hero on this list is a tool of prophecy, guided by cosmic cosmic forces toward a predetermined outcome. The forgotten hero is a wrench thrown into the machine, a smuggler, of all things, who went from hauling contraband to single-handedly preventing the prophesied destruction of an empire. No divine dreams pointing them to a specific cell, no Daedric prince selecting them for torment. Just a person with a criminal record who happened to be exactly what the world needed at exactly the right time. And the fact that they're called the forgotten hero is almost poetic. The one prisoner who defied the rules of how prisoners work in this universe, and nobody even remembers their name, which is, not ideal. But if the forgotten hero broke the mold by defying prophecy, the next entry breaks it in a completely different way, by not being a prisoner at all, the Soulborn. Every other prisoner on this list was fighting gods, preventing apocalypses, or literally holding reality together with their bare hands. Cyrus the Restless was just trying to find his sister, known as the Red Vest, and in the Yoku tongue as Sura. Cyrus is the protagonist of the Elder Scrolls adventures Redguard. He sails back to Stros M'Kai looking for his missing sister Isara, and within about 5 minutes of stepping off the boat, he's thrown into a cell by the island's imperial governor, Richten. No prophecy, no divine dream, no emperor whispering about fate, just a guy asking the wrong questions to the wrong people and getting locked up for it. But after breaking out of the governor's prison, Cyrus discovers something that reframes everything. Governor Richten ordered the destruction of the Old Quarter, a refuge for the Crown's faction, using dragonfire, not a skirmish, not a crackdown. He burned an entire district of civilians to ash because they backed the wrong political faction, which is, not ideal. Here's where Cyrus does something that none of the other prisoners on this list managed. He resurrects a dead prince. Prince Aetor, son of King Thasad II, the last High King of Hammerfell, had been leading the crowns before his apparent death. Using a soul gem, Cyrus literally brings Aetor back, restoring indigenous Redguard authority to Hammerfell and enabling continued resistance against Imperial control. No Daedric artifacts, no divine bloodline, just a man with a soul gem and enough stubbornness to defy an empire. And that's what makes Cyrus special. He's not the chosen one. He's not fulfilling a prophecy carved into a wall 10,000 years ago. He's a brother looking for his sister who accidentally becomes the catalyst for an entire province's independence. That's it. That's the whole thing. But here's where every single entry in this video snaps into focus. Sotha Sil, the clockwork god, one of the most brilliant minds to ever exist in Tamriel, identifies something called the prisoner as a cosmic constant, not a person, not a role, a fundamental law of the universe. According to Sotha Sil, the prisoner is a being who holds tremendous power and exists completely free from deterministic fate and causality. Every other entity in Tamriel is bound by the patterns of the universe, governed by the gears of prophecy and predestination. The prisoner is the one exception, the one being capable of making genuinely independent choices that nothing and nobody predetermine. Every single person in this video, the Eternal Champion, the Agent, the Nerevarine, the hero of Kvatch, the Last Dragonborn, the Vestige, the Forgotten Hero, and Cyrus. They weren't prisoners by coincidence. They were prisoners because that's how the Elder Scrolls universe identifies its most important beings. The cell isn't punishment. It's a selection mechanism. It's the universe's way of saying, this one is different. Think about it. Every one of them started in chains. Every one of them was written off, forgotten, or condemned, and every single one of them walked out and reshaped the world. Not because they were told to, not because the gears of fate forced their hand, but because they chose to. In the Elder Scrolls, being thrown in a cell isn't the end of your story. It's the beginning, and it always has been. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, click the video on the screen now.